Algebra 2b, Orange class. Today is Tuesday, February 28th. Unit 8, we're looking at Standard 3 at the beginning of Standard 4. Go to page 60. You need a graphic calculator and a highlighter. I want you to highlight the formula that they have there for you. And today we're going to struggle through it with your calculator, including the graph, and trying to show you in your calculator how to get the x and y intercept, which is going to be a mess. In your calculator, you're going to go to the y equals. This is from a long time ago.
Hello.
And those t's that your calculator will not accept it. Decimals is your friend. It will accept it, but your calculator no can do. One other thing that I didn't mention last time, which is super important, and that is this. Whenever you are graphing, and in the paragraph they talk about time, on your sketch, time will always go down on the x-axis on the bottom. Whatever the extra thing is, money, height, that will go on the side. So on this one, it has to be time and height.
Do you want me to graph it, or
Don't graph it just yet. We are going to video. When you insert this into the calculator, graph calculator, make sure that the -3,
whatever,
you are using the negative button that's below the number 3. All right, hopefully the computer will be working by that time. All right, somebody help me with the table. Let's see if I can get
oh,
this.
I'll do it. I will shape it.
This. 0, 1, 2, 3. The neighbor to 0 is
168.75.
168.75.
165.75.
All of them have 75? Okay.
156 questions.
In the back, whisper so I can hear up front. Say it again.
156.75.
156.75, and that last guy.
141.75.
So for table purposes, in a real world, and this part, I want to put that at the very top. This real world idea is important. At least I can say this part. The reason this real world thing is important, and your highlighter is going to be important here, is when you draw the picture, the real world thing will always only start from 0 and go to the right that way. In other words, if the picture started back here on the height and then crossed over, we don't draw anything that's beyond that. So if I were doing a highlight, let's see if so highlight from 0 this way with an arrow. In other words, when it's going to use decimals for some of the equations we're going to punch in, it's going to show the entire thing. What it would be if it wasn't real world. The lines go this way and that. But for the purposes of this, from 0, that way on the x-axis. On the y-axis, the same thing is true. You're never going below that line. I think a couple of people went below that line. So it's also going to start from here and go up. Highlight that. So in short, the only part of the picture that you will offer on a real-world situation is what is called quadrant 1. That it's all the positives. And the idea behind that is this. If this bottom line is time, if you back up past 0, where are you? Like you're at -1. Like what's -1 in time? Yeah, right. And these real-world situations don't offer that. So let me see if I can. If you're talking, try to whisper so the others can hear. Here it comes. Hey, is this 59?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. Well, then we don't have to build this one. But do me a favor. At the very top of this thing, write real world. Then I want you to highlight, just like we did on our graph. And the next thing I'm going to do, we're going to read the paragraph to find out, is there a time thing in here? Days, years, months. Because if there are, that's going to go along the bottom line. So what does he want him to do? Step 1. Write real world above. Step 2. Highlighter. I want you to highlight. Put a 0 there and highlight. with a big arrow. The first few times it's going to be obvious. When I see your papers, the other thing that's important, and then I'll read the paragraph. Time. Write down time on that bottom one. That's very important on these real world problems. Most of the time, there's going to be some time element over a certain amount of time. Your money is going to increase. So here it comes. Hey, Jack is tracking how many miles he jogs a day. Please circle miles. The minute you circle miles, you know what's going to go on the side. It's the same as last time. You have one last time? Alright, in time, please put in parentheses days. This unit is all about, hey, let's say you have technology, you can put it together. Do you know what it's all even talking about? Do you know where to put it on the graph? So step one, if they give you time, you know that always goes on the x-axis. Whatever the other thing is, usually goes on the y. Alright, let's see what else this paragraph is saying. In order to prepare for a 25, so Jack is tracking how many miles he jogs a day in order to prepare for a 26-mile marathon. After months of writing down his daily miles, the miles he ran, he found this approximate function. In other words, instead of having to do it one day at a time, he came up with this long thing which you don't have to. Here's all you have to do. You're going to put that guy into the calculator and get at least your table. So step one is, hey, if you're given a function, do you have the skills on a graphing calculator, which is what SBAC, that's the new test, would you have the skills to raise them to the third power? And again, do your ticket. All right, so
I don't know.
Those who talk, try to whisper. Say it again. What's he saying? 0, 1, 2, 3. 0 was what? Was it a 3?
3.
The partner was a 2.41. I remember that.
6.28 at 17.0.
Those not here are decimal systems down, and so we're using Symbolab as the graphic calculator. And the good news there is once you know how to use one, you know how to use others. So I'm going to tuck mine in.
I'm sorry that
What I'm looking for in this graph is that it does not back up past 0.
it does.
Now on your picture, the computer, it doesn't know it's a real world problem. It just knows you typed in that formula. What they want you to be able to do now is the technology can only go so far. You have to determine how much you're going to use. So start at the 0 and go over. Please put the coordinates of the y-intercept. If there is an x-intercept, put that as well. All right, listen up to this part for those who finished their sketch. I'm still coming around though. The end behavior, it used to be as x goes to infinity, y does something, and as x goes to negative infinity, y does something. The trick is this: because this is a real world problem, x is not going to go to negative infinity.
So we're just doing the same.
So it can go to infinity. So for this one here, x goes to infinity for end behavior. I can get rid of this meta calculator for now. End behavior, double underline that one. I'm rewriting it just so it's not part of the thing. And for this one, x is going to go as x goes to just positive infinity. Can't go back in time on this one. What is y doing?
Y? It's going also.
Alright. It's going up, 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 forever and ever. I'm going to try and sketch mine based on some of the pictures I saw.
But it's stuff like big yeah. He doesn't have the vision.
Alright, this this is kind of what the picture looks like.
I have tradition. I went into Chili's and I was like, I feel myself getting whiter.
And what was the y-intercept?
I like Chili's online. Okay,
Was it 0,
it was 0,
0,3.
and the point they're like, so judged every single time.
What number?
Like, I just feel like it's doing bed work. Oh my god, it's works out. Aldo.
Just to show that you know, what was the x-intercept?
Not always just good, but she can say hey!
I just tried to
like that. Hey! I don't like that.
So I just did the part that I've been seeing as I walk around.
I buy something and it's like,
And then make sure you look at your computer too, so that so you don't do a computer
I know everyone.
assessment.
Oh hey, what's up? Like they talk about it because I go there so often. My sisters go there.
I've never done this.
For x-intercept, put none, please. Put none for x-intercept.
What's not love, dude?
This is a real world problem. You start from 0 in time. You can't back up to 5 minutes ago. Just from 0, and that's the only part of the picture that you sketch. We'll do 2 more of these, and after the 2 more, then from there, we'll offer you an opportunity to identify these in assessment form. But you can see that the main goal here is 1, and use technology. 2, it's a real world problem to know how much of technology to use. You are going to page 60. The big deal on these is that they're real world problems. So the computer doesn't know it. You do. So you need to know time always goes on the bottom on the x-axis.
And I don't like kids.
Every other thing is the height goes on the bottom. You're not using decimals. You can do symbol lab for whatever reason. Decimals. Find out that we were using 3. Now they find the charges. So let them know like, look, I'm not gonna. The decimal story was made. I'm sure.
Sorry, like the TSX.
What is the formula for this one? This is a long one. This is I'll do 60 on this one. I'm still gonna come around. Let me just type this in for Jose. He's in Italy. Let's do it's -3. Am I in there? -3.
No, I said that word. And I feel like...
Does it accept T's? Or it must be X? Okay, it does. Calculator, you can only put in an X. Find what? Square. Oh, you can do the HC on this one as well? Okay, that's good to know. You do. 0.75. Hey, my picture looks weird. Am I missing a plus sign? I think I'm missing a plus sign. Alright, there it is. And then I just have to zoom out. So I'm actually glad that decimals didn't work, because I'm reminded now that
Now I realize how much this.
that it you can use another one. Wow. What did you type in for this one, Marcos, to find this one?
Is this what one chick?
This
Okay, what's going on? Why is she going like crazy? I know it's like crazy. No, she's
Oh my god, that was hilarious.
I watched it.
y-intercept.
I watched that one video.
Hey, that's a weird way of they writing that.
What the first one? What is that? Wait, why do you get that? So which one is that?
This is page 60. With the throwing off the building. I thought it was 168 should be the y-intercept.
Yeah.
He missed it.
It is. That is the way it's set. They have it like formatted or something.
He does suck.
It is white. That is the top of the hill is going to be on the x-axis.
They tell you your hat is
What? Walmart's the biggest store ever. All right, here goes. What's I wonder why it's not giving us decimals as our answers.
How come I get 168?
It should be 168.5. That's what yours says?
Walmart right there in the south.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. We see this. So if you're talking, try to whisper. So right here, I'm going to just choose this point here. I'll choose this point right here. I'm going to make it fall down right here. And then the y is 0. For this one, that's the mass. Yeah. And then the x-intercept?
It's 15 over 2 or negative 13.
Can't be negative.
Oh, what?
Because it's a real world situation. Real world situations, no negative. Is it still there? It should be. Is your negative? Yeah.
Yeah, mine is negative 15 over 2. Yeah, it's the
You should be on this side of the line. Yeah, and that's what they're checking to see. Yeah, you have technology, but if you were to put down negative just because it's said, you'd have to be like, whoa, something's not right. For this one on end behavior, I'm going to put as x goes to infinity, y goes to negative infinity.
How did you get that?
What's that? How did I get it? This is your calculator. So you need to plug this the equation into the calculator, and then do look up the table.
Oh, this is
Oh
my god.
So we're practicing on both.
Let's try back then. I'm gonna be really worried that the way that it is that everyone knows it's not that nice of a neighborhood. It's not very expensive to live there.
The and behavior is now on the board. Go to page 13. I see some of you going. Thank you. Some of you are still lagging on it. Calculator first. Civil Lab second. The only problem on 13. No equations. So this one I'm going to have to build for you. The good news though is that the assessment is going to offer to you 13. 13 is picked up in equations.
I don't want to hear it. Don't scare me.
So that's a forward equation out of...
On this particular one, yes. But I'm going to do it for you this time. All right, listen up. Hear the scenario so you can know what equation kind of goes with the scenario. It says here, my neighbor Alex has 3,000 to begin. Please underline begin. There is going to be a formula that has an A in it. It won't be the first one, but A is always the initial amount. That's where it begins. Say for a brand new car he wants to buy. Let me check to see if there's one. Let's put in page 13. Let's see here. He knows that the bank gives very low interest. He wants to know what will happen if he puts all 3,000 to savings. Underline savings. That's going to be a key phrase that when you hear it on the test, you're like, oh, it's a savings prompt. Tell him whisper. At the interest. Oh, some of you on the last one, your interest thing messed up. Watch what I do on this interest so that for some of you who need to go back, I try to put a thing, a little question mark next to it. You'll be able to do it properly. Some people just put in a certain number of zeros just because, but you have to do it this way. To change 0.4 from a percent into a decimal, remember, it's always crossed out 1, 2. Only 1, 2. 1, 2. And you fill that guy there so that the answer or the change becomes 0.004. And I need to double check to see if this is going to turn into a 1 point. Give me a moment, let me double check the equation. But here's the formula you're going to be using, the exponential function y equals a. I'm going to double check that just to make sure that that's how they're writing it. Let me double check this guy. Here it comes. Y equals a is the initial amount. What's the initial amount?
Oh,
That original 3,000. What is the b in this case? Also like the r, the rate is going to be? So both helped out there. That 1.004. And you just raise it to the x power. You don't do anything. Your calculator will choose x's for you. When you enter that and you go to your table, that table says, oh, what's x for 0, 1, 2, or 3? I'll tell you what the size would have been. And once you have that, now you're ready to go. What do I want from you? Table, x, y intercept. If it has it, does it want end behavior? No, it didn't even ask for that. No way, it's too easy. Once you get your table, I'm going to come off and check your table. And highlight 0. From left to right, don't go past that 0. That'll mark you. And from the bottom up, these are real world problems, so you only stay in the positive. After you mark that, then go back to your calculator and punch it in. And once you have your table,
amazing.
Yeah, we just changed it to 0, 3,000.
Last weekend. No,
Matter says 1 as well.
No, it's not doing anything. It's saying that I'm doing it wrong, and this is wrong.
Is it 1 point?
Oh. 004. Were you supposed to put a plus between 3,000 and 1.004?
Is it doing something?
Yeah, it starts at 3,000.
Reading from Rossi.
I mean, it shouldn't. The formula for this is supposed to be this guy here.
I know. Oh, I'm sorry.
I can see them for the first time. Yeah, that's for sure. It does that. You said, Marcos, if you put a plus sign as in...
Yeah, start at plus.
Okay. Oh.
Even with a plus sign. Marco's, with a plus sign. Alright, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Mine is thinking. Oh. So Marco, I have what you have right now. Marco. Sheesh. Yeah.
So that the farther you get, the higher it's going to become.
Right. So
This
this is showing it though. The formula should produce it from just the one that we typed in. Okay, what I'll do, I know what I'll do. Alright, listen up. This is what we're going to do for this particular problem. We're going to utilize that picture that had the 1, except you're going to use the number off your table. For, don't worry, yes, they messed around with it to do it, but this plus sign, there isn't a formula that looks like that one. So, for whatever reason, it's doing what it's doing. It's an odd thing.
How did you make it do that?
Right, we just put a plus sign between the two parentheses, which again you wouldn't know. But here's what I want to say to you. So you're about to get your assessment in just a moment. After I come around and check mark. But listen up. Because you have your table, which shows, my table, I don't have it yet, but your table which shows the 0 and the 3,000, you're going to use that first row to double check any picture that you make. To make sure that your picture, whether it's symbol out, well, we're going to use symbol out. If it throws something off, label it with that y-intercept. That top row will always be the top row will always be the y-intercept that you're supposed to have. That's why we put it in the graphic calculator. And that's why I've been having you list the table every single time. Because your picture technically needs to match where it begins, which is the 0, 3000. That's most we apologize for what we've done to you. And we wish we had you back.
Okay, what's wrong with this one?
It's just, yeah,
I was like, how is
with
this
the
happening?
honey itself.
I think it's really like they're like